Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm Seiben for the Aether Hub, bringing you our first spoiler for Amonkhet. Except it's not really a spoiler, more like a quote-unquote leak, but maybe not really? I'm not sure, the situation's a little complicated. Oh, and the card itself could basically just be fake altogether, so yeah. Honestly, I wasn't going to make a video about this news because of all the if, buts, and coconuts around it, and I certainly don't want to bring you guys something that turned out to be 100% fake in the end, but that being said, the story around this leaked Amonkhet card is interesting in and of itself, and in my opinion, warrants the video. So first, let's look at the card in question. Dusk/Dawn, 2 spells on the same card. Dusk is a sorcery for 2 generic and double white. Destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater, while Dawn is a sorcery for 3 generic and double white with a new mechanic called Aftermath. Cast this spell only from your graveyard, then exile it. Return all creature cards with power less than or equal to 2 from your graveyard to your hand. Remember, these are just rough translations from the original language, so forgive me if they're a little off on the wording. Now, if Dusk and Dawn are real, then we are immediately introduced to a new and major mechanic for Amonkhet, not to mention a huge shift in card design. Aftermath seems to be some new graveyard funds for spells and possibly creatures, which gives them like a flashback effect. Flashback was insanely popular back in Dark Ascension with cards like Lingering Souls, and Aftermath seems to hold a similar feel. Though with Aftermath, it seems whatever you play from the graveyard will be inherently different from what you put there. It still looks to be an interesting way to get value from your graveyard. Obviously, the most striking thing about this card is its actual design, this weird tapped double spell card front. This, of course, isn't the first time Wizards has printed 2 cards on one single rectangle piece of cardboard. Just look at the flip cards from our recent return to Innistrad. The design of Aftermath, to me anyway, seems to be a good solution to the consequences we saw with the flip cards. The fact that they didn't have a traditional card back, so you'd have to sleeve and flip them manually or use those jank checkbox proxies. Here, they'll appear just as any other card in your hand would, while making both spell effects easily legible for both players. This design harps back to the days of Kamigawa when we got those weird creature flip cards. Now, that design was really unappealing to the eyes. You could hardly tell what was going on there. It just looks cluttered and unrefined. No, Aftermath is more like fuse cards, spells that you can either play for 1 or 2 different effects. This design was much more pleasing and easy to read, so I'm really glad Wizards decided to go this route with Aftermath, assuming it's the real deal. To some, the design may be a big turnoff. I feel like it's a relatively clever way to incorporate 2 different spells into a single card without sacrificing the normal card back. The tapped spell on its side does come off a little wonky, but it's probably just their way of visually representing Aftermath as a play from the graveyard mechanic, as opposed to the fuse cards. One thing I'll say about the card's design is how smushed the art for both of the spells look. I know, with 2 different text boxes you're really running low on available real estate on the card, but still, their art has been so phenomenal lately that I don't like seeing it sacrificed. Also, notice the color schemes used in Dusk and Dawn? Kinda reminds you of a few gods of death I talked about in an earlier Amonkhet video, right? Perhaps the crocodile god's gonna be taking people to the underworld while the cat god brings them back. Maybe I was actually right for a change. So that's the card itself and my opinion on it, but why did I call this a quote-unquote leak at the very beginning of the video? It was released to the public with no real source and Wizards of the Coast hasn't said a word about it, so that's a leak, right? Well, I have my suspicions. From what little info I could find, apparently someone found this smack in the middle of either an Aether Revolt or Modern Masters 2017 pack. As far as leaks go, that's a really outlandish story. Usually, leaks occur from employees or other individuals dealing with the products, taking photos and putting them on the internet. In those cases, it's understandable why those people wish to do these leaks silently. If I, for example, found this in another random booster pack, you'd bet I'd be screaming it from the tallest mountaintops. So it's a little weird to me that such little info's available about how this card came to light. Wizards themselves have also stayed silent on this leak, after being pretty animated about things like this in the past. Personally, I wouldn't put it past Wizards to sneak this into a pack, or just leak it straight themselves. If for nothing else, just to gauge public opinion about this new Aftermath card design. It's pretty funny how the card in question of being leaked just so happens to feature a new card mechanic and design. Coincidence? Maybe, but like I said, it could be a marketing or public polling tool by Wizards. And with all that said, there's still a chance that this card is just out and out a fake. We have absolutely no confirmation whatsoever, and some people have brought up small possible angle issues or inconsistencies, which points to it being a possible forgery. That being said, most of the community, especially those I really respect, have come out and said they honestly believe the card to be genuine, and I tend to agree with them. This would certainly be one of the most well-polished, innovatively inclined forgeries ever made, so it's just easier to imagine it being the real deal than someone going through all that trouble for a troll, especially when you add in Wizards' silence on the matter. If this was fake, I'm fairly certain they would have said something from the very beginning. Anyway guys, that's all I have on Dusk/Dawn, Aftermath, and the leaking of cards in general. Let me know what you guys think about the card, its mechanic, its design, or the nature of leaks in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the Aether Hub here on YouTube, go ahead and give this video a like, share, and subscribe for more awesome MTG content. As always guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time here on the Aether Hub.